Page 233, Chapter 20, Documentation. When your instructor assigns a research paper, ask what kind of documentation is required. Is a particular academic style, such as APA or MLA, required? Are internal and end references expected? How accurate must the punctuation for references be before marks are deducted? This part of the research paper is considered unimportant by many and is therefore often neglected. Instructors frequently complain, in fact, that students end up losing more marks in this area than they should. So be sure to ask what is required of you before you submit your final paper. Definition. Documentation is the formal acknowledgement of sources in a research paper. Correct documentation makes sure credit is given for others' work and protects a writer against charges of plagiarism, theft of ideas. It involves a combination of citations, internal documentation, and a listing of sources, end documentation. The sources are inserted within the text of the research paper, while the listing of sources is always at the end, on a separate page or pages. A particular academic style, such as MLA or APA, must be applied consistently to both the citations and the list of sources. For more on plagiarism, see page 223 in chapter 18, Summarizing and Paraphrasing. Two academic styles of documentation, APA and MLA. Although there are several academic styles of documentation, APA and MLA are the two most common. APA stands for American Psychological Association. MLA stands for Modern Language Association. These are universal styles in that they are known and used in research throughout the world. Which one is used depends on the subject matter. Generally speaking, APA is commonly used for the physical and social sciences, physics, medicine, psychology, sociology, and so on. MLA, on the other hand, is used for subjects in the humanities, such as literature, philosophy, religion, and the arts. In business, no one style is dominant. If the program in which you are enrolled requires that you use one of these two styles in your research, it would be wise to continue to apply the same style to English papers, as long as your English professor does not object. If it does not matter to your instructors which style you choose, you might want to briefly examine the differences between the two styles outlined below, and choose the one that you think most suits your needs. Regardless of which one you end up choosing, you must apply it correctly and consistently to both the internal and the end documentation of a research paper. Two mandatory parts of documentation, internal and end. Both of the major academic styles involve two kinds of documentation in a research paper. Internal documentation, sets of parentheses incorporated throughout the essay. End documentation, a list of sources at the end. Connection between internal and end documentation. Often, students do not see the reason that both forms of documentation must be provided in a research paper. They do not understand that the two are interdependent. Each one needs the other to be valid. A citation in the form of parentheses surrounding information, usually author and page number, is used to show exactly where an author's idea has been used in your paper, either in the form of a direct quotation or a paraphrased or summarized idea. See Chapter 18, Summarizing and Paraphrasing. Using the limited information between the parentheses, the reader can then go to the list of sources at the end of the paper and find out exactly what publication or website the idea was taken from. He or she could then locate the source if necessary for fact-checking, further research, and so on. Citations, not just after direct quotations. Many students believe that citations are required only after direct quotations. They believe that if they put someone else's idea into their own words, then documentation is not required. This is not true. If an idea from another author has been paraphrased or summarized and is not considered common knowledge, its source must also be acknowledged in the form of both a citation and its listing at the end of the paper. If you are not sure whether or not the idea you're thinking of paraphrasing is common knowledge, check with your professor. It's better, after all, to be safe than sorry.